Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bourbon Bites. Welcome to another Thursday night live stream where we get to taste some really awesome whiskey. And I've been looking forward to tonight's stream for a really long time because it's my first time that I've actually had a chance to give away something this big. So, if you are new here, hi, welcome. My name is Clifton. I typically review bourbon, but I've been branching out over the past couple years to explore other world whiskeys. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. So, a brand called Bevridge reached out to me and they put together these really awesome tasting experiences. And it's not just a tasting kit, it's like a whole digital thing you can follow along and do your tasting journey with them. It looks so much fun. It's definitely the most premium version of a tasting guided tasting I've ever seen done. So they reached out and asked if I wanted to do it on the channel here for you guys, and they sent me one of these tasting sets, but not just one. They sent me two. So that means we're doing a giveaway of one of these tasting sets. So someone watching tonight is going to win their very own Beverage World Whiskies tasting set. This contains 5 samples of whiskeys from all over the world. This retails for $100, and you'll see why. It's a really nice kit once you actually get into it. And there's some really unique whiskeys that I wouldn't expect from something like this. So I'm really excited to get into this tonight and taste through them for the first time. Some of these whiskeys I've had before, some of them I haven't. But most of all, I'm really excited to share this with you guys and give someone a chance to win one tonight. Of course, if you are not a lucky winner, if you're Don Nishida out there, just kidding, Don, love you. Don is always hashtag I never win. But if you do happen to not get lucky, I do have a promo code down in the description below where you can get 10% off your order. So I think these are really cool ideas for Christmas gifts. If you have a friend that's curious about whiskey or a family member, I think I would love to get something like this when I was starting my journey. So I'm really excited to taste through it tonight and give my thoughts on each of these whiskeys and just have fun and try something new. But first of all, I want to say hello to a few folks out there today. I see Brandon's here early. Happy Thursday to you too, Brandon. Hope you're doing well. Sure, you're kidding me out. I know he has to leave in a little bit, but good to see you. Emily's here. So Emily was actually, well, she wasn't on the stream, but she was with us for the stream. Last night, I was live with Women of Whiskies. We did a Remus blind flight, which if you remember, Kathy Joe won that blind flight here on the channel, on the Wheel of Whiskey, actually. So I sent them some for Michelle to try them as well, and it was so much fun. Definitely check the replay of that. I love tasting through those again with those ladies, and it was so great that Emily was able to join us in the chat because I sent her those samples last year. Donnie, thank you so much telling everyone to hit the thumbs up. Yes, I noticed that the thumbs up is a cool animation. Has it always done that where it shows rainbow colors? I love it. So hit the thumbs up if you want to see a cool rainbow thing. It's probably been doing it for years. I don't know. I do hit the thumbs up button, but usually on my phone, and I don't usually see it. So I saw it on the computer today. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Whiskey Burgers in the house. Cheers to you, Adam. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you, Adam. Hope to see some of y'all on the after party hangout for Patreon later tonight. Thank you. Speaking of Patreon, look, Donnie says how to become a patron. There's the info there. You can join for as little as $2 a month to support the channel. But of course, the $5 or the $10 tier gets you our after party hangout, which is where we hang out after every live stream, chat into the wee hours of the morning. If you're not me, because I go to bed early, but I'm there for at least an hour or 2 hours. Sometimes 3. We'll see. Swan says I pulled up the rocking chair to the desk so I can get real comfy and watch the stream. Well, don't fall asleep. I expect to see you tonight. That sounded weird. You know what I mean. Sugar Kitty dropping all of the Bite Club emojis. Yes, you can also support the channel by becoming a Bite Club member here on YouTube. Only $2. You get access to some fun emojis and exclusive posts. Sometimes I cross-post things over from Patreon and YouTube. I know people want to support wherever they can, so I want to give you guys an option to support wherever you can. It does mean a lot to me. But, of course, the super chats that are coming in are going to enter you into the Wheel of Whiskey, which we're going to spin at the end of the night. And someone's going to win a tasting set. All right, so talking about world whiskey. Sorry, I just had to read that. Seeing Cliffy tonight, yeah. No, so talking about world whiskey. So, like I said, started as a bourbon guy, but thanks to my friends out here in Southern California, they've literally shown me the world with whiskey. I've tried whiskeys from countries I've never heard of. I mean, mostly I've tried whiskey from Scotland and Ireland and the United States and Canada. But man, there's some really crazy, cool whiskey distilleries out there. So I thought that's what was fun about tonight's tastings. I showed it to you, but let me tell you a little bit more about it. So like I said, this is the World Whiskies tasting set. It comes with 5 different styles of whiskey across 3 countries. including a Single Malt Scotch Whisky, Single Malt Irish Whiskey, Single Malt American Whiskey, Bourbon Whiskey, and Rye Whiskey. So it comes in this cool box, like I said. I'm going to show you. It's actually kind of cool. So there's this little tear strip on the box. By the way, I'm going to give y'all, whoever wins the giveaway is going to get an unopened box. But if you tear this off, set it over there. There's this really cool like fold out guide here that kind of shows you the different whiskeys. Tells you a little bit about them, the rules, the requirements to be a Irish whiskey, Scotch whiskey, American single malt. This would be really cool. Like I have like I don't know if y'all know, but you probably don't know, but I have a chart up above my computer that has like a whiskey wheel, and it shows like different mash bills of different distilleries, different ages, and just like tons of like info that I wish I could see from my desk because it's so far up. But I feel like these would be like nice little side panels to it. I might have to think about that. I don't know. I'm kind of in the living room too, so I'm pretty sure my husband will kill me for that, but still, just an idea. I like the way it looks. I like the art style on it for sure. Thank you, Donnie, for dropping the link to the merch. Yeah, I need to get some new merch. I like to launch a couple new designs every holiday season. So I'm planning into this month, hopefully before Black Friday, because I know Threadless does a Black Friday sale. I'm going to get a couple new designs up for you guys. I'm really excited to – I do have some ideas. I'm really excited to share them. Don Nishida, Don, you missed it. I said, like, if you don't win or you're Don Nishida, there's a promo code in the description. But trying your luck tonight. Well, right now you have a sure shot at winning, Don. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And thank you for being the first entry on the wheel of whiskey, which we'll spin. So after you take that off, again, you get the really nice gift set. It's kind of hard to see here, but it has the there we go. Yeah, it's kind of like the embossed logo. And then this actually isn't like, I thought it was going to open up, like be separate, but okay. Let's pray nothing falls out here. Let's see. So, I don't know if y'all can see. So there are the 5 different tasting sets there. They're not blind because it's hard to see if y'all can see. Because they have the descriptions of each of them here. So these are the whiskeys we're going to be trying tonight. Like I said, American single malt, Scotch single malt, Irish single malt, and Rye whiskey, and a bourbon, of course. So I'm really excited. Some of these I've had, some of them I haven't. But I'm really excited to get into it for you guys. So I actually have a little bit of video content. Like I said, they pair these tastings with really cool, like full length, like tastings with the distilleries. You can also like get like an intro to each of the distilleries to learn, how they make their whiskey. But you can also get an in-depth tasting, like I was saying. Even some of them did cocktails with the whiskey. So there's lots of different ways you can enjoy this content. So I'm just giving you a little sneak preview here. If you are interested, all of the links are in the description below to buy a set if you're curious. Like I said, for yourself, for a friend, or for like a whiskey party. Get some friends together, have some samples, put on this stream or put on their videos. You can actually find it on their website and their YouTube channel. You can find the videos, but I'll show you a little bit of that later. But let's go ahead and start this video here. I'm cutting it up into like 5 different pieces because it's gonna guide us through this tasting. So the first one's like 60 seconds long and then like 30 seconds. So don't worry, I'll be back. So let's go ahead and look into the first video of this Bevridge World Whiskies tasting. Check it out.
I'm Nate Ganna, the co-founder of Bevridge. Join us as we take you on a global tour exploring 5 distinct variations within the world of whiskeys. In this experience, you'll learn about 5 prominent styles of whiskey, travel to where they're made, and see how they are crafted, bringing you intimately close to the artistry and tradition behind each bottle. While the styles and the stories differ, what each of these whiskeys has in common is the passion and dedication of the people who make them. We begin with a single malt scotch, a robust and complex form of whiskey from a country closely associated in many people's minds with the product it produces. Here, we've selected Scotland's first certified organic single malt, which is distilled entirely by hand. This will showcase a new whiskey made in a fashion closer to the way it was done more than a century ago.
Awesome. So this is the first whiskey we have here today. This is, let me see if I can pull up the actual full title of it. Because I saw it in the video. I'm like, oh wait, my little sample bottle doesn't really tell me much on the sample. And of course the box does itself. But this one, here we go. There we go. Okay, so this has been Benromach. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Benromach. Y'all know I'm bad with pronouncing Scotch distilleries. Benromach Organic Single Malt Scotch Whisky. So this one comes in at 43% ABV, and it's matured exclusively in virgin American oak casks. So I've not had any whiskey from Benromach as far as I'm aware. I don't recognize the logo. I was looking at the bottle. I was like, that doesn't look familiar to me at all. Are y'all familiar with that distillery? Ooh, interesting. So I'm looking here, and it does say lightly peated malt. I think I wasn't expecting that little bit of peat there. There's definitely some smokiness on the nose for this one. Oh, Swan just said he just bought some Benromach tin. Nice. Um, yeah. So I actually, like I said, I don't recognize it myself, but it's good to hear. That's kind of funny. Brandon said, "Sorry, I missed it. How big are the samples?" I actually had to double check myself because they look bigger. They're 50 milliliters, so standard sample size. But yeah, in the box they definitely look a little more like, wow, they look so substantial. But yeah, so perfect for like one or two people to share. I think. I mean, I've already poured a glass of it, and there's a tasting size glass. Y'all know we don't want Cliffy coming out tonight. We got to keep it tame here. So I did a little small pour here. But yeah, I am excited to look into this one because again, organic single malt Scotch whiskey, and I think that's interesting because it's like it's like it says it's the first organic single malt. Is that like are they the first to seek that status, or are they actually? Because I know there's so many like grained glass kind of situations all across the whiskey together. But you know what? Actually, that makes sense. I'm rereading. They are the first distillery to have certified organic Scotch whiskey. I thought it was saying that they were the only. I'm like, that's a little. I don't know if I believe that, but first I can believe that. Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited to check this one out because the nose, like I said, it's malty, but there's like a hint of smoke back there. It's honestly reminiscent of like some of the like blended, like I have a Johnny Walker Double Black blended Scotch. Kind of give me a similar nose to that. I'm almost wondering if some of this whiskey in that blend. But it does have a bit of like a grain forward note in combination with that smoke. It's you can definitely tell that like the barley's there. I mean, it's like you're not getting the necessarily the bourbon cask. I always struggle with bourbon cask whiskey, right? Because to me, that is such a flavor that I expect more of. When you hear bourbon cask, you're like, oh, like the vanillas and the caramels and all that. But like to me, bourbon cask is just a very neutral cask. Speaking of neutral color, it looks pretty light, but I mean, imagine it's 10 years old, which is pretty young for Scotch. Um, but yeah, let's go in. Oh, actually, before we dive in and take a sip, Women of Whiskies is here. I was actually shouting out our stream last night, earlier on the stream. So yeah, we had tons of fun with the Remus flight. Y'all definitely check out that replay. So much fun to revisit those, and you may be surprised at Michelle and Kathy Joe's #1 winner because I think they wanted something else to win, but we'll see. Go check out the replay. Whiskey Pierce says that's a new label. Oh, interesting, is it? I didn't realize. Yeah, I was like, I don't recognize it at all. Do they tell you to drink these samples in a certain order? Seems like you would want the Scotch last. It is presented in an order. I don't know necessarily what again, it's meant to be like a journey. So it's like you start with one, you go across the country. It does say lightly peated. On the nose is very much like a smoky versus a peaty. But I'll dive in and find out. Maybe we'll give them some advice on maybe switching up the order. That's a good point, though. Swan's gonna pour along with us. Awesome, man. Appreciate that. Four Leaf Whiskey's here. Cheers, everyone. Happy Redbreast Day. No one told me it was Redbreast Day. I'm a little sad that I missed out on that. But actually, we'll be drinking a single malt Irish whiskey tonight as well. Not Redbreast, but it's actually from a distillery that I've also never heard of. So love exploring new whiskeys. I know Stacy over at Four Leaf Whiskey is all about that. She came on my channel and introduced some really fun ones earlier this year. So that was so much fun. Speaking of fun, Kathy Joe says it was so much fun. Thanks for joining us. Well, thank you for having me. Y'all are welcome here anytime. But for now, let's drink some Benromach organic single malt whiskey. Cheers. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. I was a little worried because it does say slightly peated malt. On the palate, it's not that. On the palate, it's sweet, actually. It's a lot sweeter than I thought it was going to be. Leaning towards a like cereal kind of like a sugary cereal, like a kid's cereal. Has a little bit of like a honeysuckle note, not just honey, but like honeysuckle flowers, like a little bit of floral honey is there on the front end. Mid palate is very, very malty. It's also like dry on the back end. So even though it's only a 10-year-old, I think this one is really, I don't want to say refined isn't the word. Defined is the word. I think you can definitely tell the different elements that make this a whiskey, which I guess is what they're going for with it being an organic single malt whiskey. I think they're going to want to highlight those grains because that's what makes it special, and definitely very grain forward. I think you know what, even though this is number one and it is a Scotch, I think it's a great place to start. It's just perfectly lightly sweet, not much to overwhelm your palate, but it's a nice intro into the world of Scotch. Again, for a lot of people, this kit might be their first time trying these different whiskeys from around the world. I think this is approachable. You're not going to give them like a freaking Ardbeg or like nothing like Octomore to blow their mind with the first Scotch they've ever tried. I think this is very approachable. I think it's a very I don't know the price of this one. I would assume it's a pretty like not budget. Budget's not the right word, but like a mid-range, affordable bottle for everyone. Swan, you just picked up a bottle. Let us know how much it was because I'm actually curious. I haven't heard about this one. Huh. That's really interesting. I think it's as approachable as a Scotch can be. I'll say that. That's why it kind of reminded me of some of the ones that I've had in a blend. Um, yeah, I think you can tell that it's pretty young with the 10-year age, but what an interesting way to start. I told you these aren't just normal samples. They're not like your typical, oh, for Scotch you get Johnny Walker. For bourbon you get Jim Beam. Oh, wait for that Tennessee, you're gonna get some Jack Daniels. So I think it's kind of fun that they do explore beyond the typical what you would expect from it. Kathy Joe is in for the giveaway. Well, Kathy Joe, you got lucky a few weeks back, actually probably a few months back now. You might get lucky again. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, and thank you for entering the giveaway. We'll spin that wheel of whiskey at about 7:55. So as we get closer to the end of the stream, I'll make sure all the entries are counted for that. But Kathy Joe, you are in, as well as Don Nishida. So y'all got to battle it out. So that was a fun way to start, but I think I'm ready to move into my next whiskey. So now we're going to take the journey over to Ireland for this next one. It's a single malt Irish whiskey. Never heard of it before, but let's learn a little bit about it.
We will then take a short hop to explore a single malt Irish whiskey, bringing us to the historical birthplace of malt whiskeys. The specific Irish whiskey you'll discover here is a unique gem, the first commercially bottled single cask Irish single malt. This recalls the historic legacy of whiskeys in the Old World, where casks were sold and traded to local merchants to offer their patrons, rather than blended and bottled before shipping as they are today.
All right, I almost didn't get that open before the stream. I still didn't actually. They have metal caps on them, so it's almost there. But I almost cut my finger, so I kind of freaked out for a second. But the fun of aluminum, but I almost got it. Give me a second. I just really don't want to cut myself. It's like I kind of screwed this one up because I tilted it. Oh, there you go. Got it. Okay, good. Started to get a little nervous there. All right, so this one I haven't heard of. How would you pronounce this? Limavady? Now, again, there's full-length videos of each of these telling you about the whiskey itself. I'm just showing a little bit of an intro. So I've never heard of this one. Limavady, yeah, that's it. So I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but definitely sliced my hand there. It's not bleeding yet. Yeah, would say I don't recommend the aluminum. They look pretty. They look really cool, but when you're trying to open them quickly between videos, they definitely can get you. Limavady is solid. Retail here is around 50, but my local store has it on sale for 26. Oh, interesting. So it says they're all around that 50, 60 retail range, which is always fun. Swan says he found a 50 milliliter that was only $4. Oh, cool. But the 750 is usually around 65. That was for the last one. Zopher is here and entering the giveaway. Zopher, I'm looking forward to seeing you next weekend. I'm heading out to San Diego for Thanksgiving just to spend some time down there. Hope to catch up with him and share quite a few pours. And maybe share the sample set if he wins it tonight. Limavady? Or is that Va? Like Va? Limavady, like Baba Black Sheep. Limavady. That sounds very glamorous, and I probably mispronounced. What did I say the first time? Limavady. I'm from South Carolina, y'all. Limavady. That sounds very luxurious. All right, let's learn a little bit about that one. So, like we said, we got the info there on the video. This is a single malt, single barrel. That's the info we have here. Like I said, there's way more details on the full length videos. But yeah, never had anything from them before. Ooh, That's a fun nose. It's like lemon. It's like a bright. Trying to see if I can zoom in on this bottle a little bit. It's 100% Irish barley, small batch, triple distilled, finished in ex bourbon barrels and PX sherry cask. I was like, that's really, really bright on the back end, surprisingly for an Irish whiskey. Wow, smells like a dessert. It's like sugary sweet, like confectionery sugar. I mean, I'm getting fruitiness. I wasn't leaning sherry. I was almost thinking rum finish because it has that like sweet sugar note. Ooh, that's interesting. By the way, this one comes in at 46% ABV. So let's go ahead and Stacy said the single barrel is ginormous. It's not the same as the single cask, but it's good. Bottled and distributed by WhistlePig. Oh, this is the single malt single barrel. Yeah, so this must be well, I mean, WhistlePig's also in this tasting set, so it makes sense maybe they collaborated. There's some partnership with WhistlePig. Interesting. I didn't realize that. So I imagine this is I mean, is this sold here in the States? I would think so, but interesting. It's not the same as a single cask, but it's good. Not the same as a single cask. Now I'm curious what you mean, not the same as a single cask. It's like a single barrel, but not a single cask. Or you're saying they also have a single. Tell me, Stacy. Stacy's the freaking Irish whiskey expert. Fill me in. On the nose, though, I really like this. It's bright, also floral, not like the honey floral, but like I'm thinking lavender. Lavender, sweet lavender. Oh man, I gotta go in for a sip. Cheers. How interesting. Wow. I'm just curious if they give me like info about that specific. Ugh, not enough room here. Yeah, X bourbon and X piece. I thought maybe this was a different release in the photo, and I was like, it does not taste like PX sherry, but man, is that sweet and fruity and there's still the grain note. You could tell, I mean, still a barley, but that's really good. It's unlike any Irish whiskey I've ever had. It's not like your typical, Redbreast or Jameson, which I mean, when I say typical, I don't mean in a bad way. I just mean like what you expect typically from those. It's definitely different. It's a little more left field. It's more sweet, more candy, a little more malty, I would say. Yes, it's in the U.S. Good to know. So the single barrel advertising they use is confusing. It's a huge batch. They aren't small by any means, but it's a good one for the price. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know we use the word single barrel in American whiskey probably differently than other people use it. That's interesting though. It's like it's not actually a single barrel. It's just like a single batch. Very cool. Alexander says, "Do you plan to have another stream before the holiday next week?" So this is the last one. So actually, I'm doing this stream today, obviously. Um, but I will not be going live next week. 'Cause like I said, I'll be traveling down to San Diego. I know a lot of people will be doing stuff with their families and friends on Thursday night anyway. So didn't want to distract from that. I think I did a stream last Thursday, but it was still height of COVID, and like I didn't end up doing anything for it. But yeah, so no stream next week. But then the following week, which I think is December 1st, I'm actually partnering with Beverage again for a two-parter. So this is still the same one, but they actually sent me an American single malt kit that has 10 samples in it. They're all American single malts. I'm breaking that up into two streams because I can't drink 10 samples in one night. That would get really crazy. So what I'm gonna do for that one, it's a bigger tasting set. Like I said, that one's a $150 MSRP. Also have one of those to give away. So if you want to come back for a second chance to win, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit the bell button to be notified for all live streams coming up soon. But yeah, so I'm gonna split that up. I'll take some entries on one stream, then take some more entries on the next one, and then we'll draw at the end of the second stream for the past two streams, if that makes sense. Again, it's a two-parter. This one's only 5 samples, so it's a lot easier to do in one stream. But I'm really excited. I haven't explored too much into American single malt, so I'm excited to dive into that for that stream. But this one's fun because we get to go all over the place. But we do get to try an American single malt, which I think is coming up right after this Irish. But I still want to sit on this Irish a minute. I don't know. My first time having it, like I said, it's so different than any other Irish I've ever had. Sweet candy, like sweet tart. Again, perfect intro into such a broad and interesting category of whiskey, Irish whiskey. Maybe, now that I think about it, maybe that's their intent with this box because they're all so different than what you would expect as the typical example. It's so different from the typical bourbon. It's so different from the typical American single malt, and it's so different from the typical rye. So I feel like maybe they're trying to change your expectations a bit. So like if you're used to like Irish whiskey, you probably had Jameson. I think we've all had Jameson. This one's something completely different than Jameson. So maybe it's kind of a cool way to expand your horizon and revisit a category that you may not have fell in love with before. That's another way to look at it. Limavady is named after the wolfhound legend. I love that. I'm a bit biased. Okay, did not know that. I still don't know what that means, but after a wolfhound legend, I'm intrigued. Reminds me of Egan's Fortitude. That's not one we tried on the channel that you were on, I don't think. You sent me a bunch of really cool, like rare Irish whiskeys, so it's hard to remember their names. But y'all check out the replay of that stream. Also check out Four Leaf Whiskey's channel. She is the pro of Irish whiskey here on WhiskeyTube. She also does other whiskeys too, but she's the expert in Irish whiskey. And she's also such a cool person. So I'm gonna drink the rest of this sample, but let's go ahead and move on to the third one, which is the American Single Malt. This is a distillery I'm very familiar with. However, have never had their American Single Malt. Check it out.
Our third whiskey brings this historic legacy of malt distillation squarely into the 21st century, American Single Malt Whiskey. Here we have a whiskey that seeks to honor tradition and commend innovation. Using a blend of Scottish and American barleys, matured in a mix of refill and first fill casks, and aged in the intense Texas climate, with this dram you will uncover the intersection of past and present in the making of malt whiskeys.
All right, so this one, again, I've had some single malts from Balcones, but never the Lineage line. So this one is a Texas-grown barleys and aged in a combination of, read the full sentence, Clifton, before you start saying it. This one is made from both Scottish and Texas-grown barley. I cannot make sense of this sentence. Made from both Scottish and Texas-grown barleys and aged in a combination of refill and new oak barrels. Lineage celebrates both old and new traditions. Have y'all had this one? I know Balcones is a whiskey that a lot of y'all have had, especially those of you that go to like the Bastards Ball and stuff down in Texas. I wanted to rinse my glass out because we're shifting gears here a lot going into American whiskey. Big Vic is here. What's up, Big Vic? Kathy Jo said this one sounds great. Yeah, I'm really interested. So Texas whiskey is so big and bold in flavors. I'm really curious to see how the single malt does because the single malts that I've had from them, I think they're the only ones I've ever had are picks, right? I've had a couple of LA Whiskey Guild picks of Balcones. I also had a not 7 grand. It was K&L Wine and Spirits single barrel, but I've not had the Lineage. I'm not sure. I know those are usually finished. The single barrels usually have a finish, but this one I think might just be straight up, new and used bourbon cask. Big Vic says, I'm feeling lucky. Well, you are entered into the Wheel of Whiskey. We'll find out at the end of the stream whether you win a beverage sample set. Same one I'm tasting through here. Thank you so much for the super chat, though. I appreciate the entry, man. Hope you're doing well. Check out Big Vic's channel as well. Oh, whoa. Okay, weird on the nose. Definitely unexpected for Balcones, actually. I was expecting a little more traditional of a Balcones nose, which is like that Texas kind of funk I always say. This one's earthy. This one is very much like vegetal, like, I don't want to say moss. Moss isn't the right word, but it's like, whoa, that's so weird. Again, it's throwing me off, unlike any Balcones I've had. It's like a mix of earthy and clean laundry. If that makes it doesn't make sense. I know it's like contrast, right? But it has like a very like fragrant, like I don't want to say Febreze, but like a clean laundry smell mixed with a like forest. Like if you did laundry in the forest, if those notes mean anything to you. It's not minty. It's not grassy. Yeah, it's just like very much like maybe like potpourri. what is it called? Potpourri? Whatever you put out during Christmas, where you have like the pine cones and like the scents that are typically more cinnamon forward. I would say it's similar to that. Potpourri is what it's called, right? I'm thinking of poopery, which I also have. But yeah, it's think of that, but take away the cinnamon. It's like that similar nose, but without the cinnamon. That's really interesting. I can't say I've ever had anything like this before, but let's give it a taste. Cheers. Whoa. Does not. I never in a million years would I would guess that would be Balcones. Balcones is known for such like big, bold flavor because they typically use smaller barrels. Well, sometimes they either use a combination of smaller barrels or the barrels are just exposed to the intense Texas heat, so they withdraw some of that barrel bitterness, that like typical. I call it Texas funk. This doesn't have it though. That's why it throws me off. Unlike, thank you for the break. I need breakdowns for everywhere, y'all. I swear. I swear. Zofer's always messing with me. They've messed with me before. They told me the wrong pronunciation sometimes. This one, I gotta say, I don't love this one. American single malt is such a category that I've typically not loved. I think it's so different than what I'm used to. I like to stick to. I don't want to say stick to the classics because that sounds like I'm old and stuck in my ways. I love trying new things, but my problem with American single malts is they are just so. This I don't want to sound mean, but they taste like the base the I'm trying to be nice here. They taste like a base level scotch, no matter how nice the American single malt is typically. A lot of times I feel like, you could just get a scotch that's very similar in composition, just, the malted barley, the way they make it and age it. I think American single malt's a category that has yet to grasp my interest, which is why I'm so excited for the stream in 2 weeks on December 1st, which is where we're diving into a full deep dive of 10 different American single malts. Maybe I'll find one I love. Can't say this Balcones Lineage is mine. I think this one's just like it's drinkable. Nothing wrong with it. By the way, the proof on this one comes in at 47% ABV. I think that's probably one of the higher proofs here. It's doesn't drink that high proof. I think it drinks smoother. I caught myself because almost like almost cringe. Tastes smoother than 47%. I think it's approachable. Would I say it's the best example of American single malt? I don't know yet. I'm excited to get into that other tasting set and find out. But if you've never had anything like that from them, it's a fun one to try. It's definitely very different than I expected. Um, Town Branch. Oh, you're right. Swan did send me a sample of a Town Branch single malt. I tried it on a podcast actually. So if y'all didn't know, I had a podcast. I did 50 episodes of it. You can check that out at bourbonbites.podbean.com. Or you go to bourbonbites.com and find all my links. But I actually did the Town Branch one that Swan's talking about, and man, that was really fantastic. Really, really good stuff. Embellished Podcast is here. What American single malts have you had so far? It's limited, dude. I'll do some research to find out which ones I've tried before the next stream where I'm doing all American single malts. I know I've had both Westward and Westland. Only one expression of each. I've had two Westlands. I've had, of course, the Balcones single malt single barrels, which are completely different than this one. I've had one, I think it's called 107 West. It's one based out here in California too. Man, what else? What else? I think even High West did a single malt that I had a sample of at some point, but it's pretty limited my experience with American single malts, but I'm excited to get more into it. Alexander said, "Did you meet me halfway and get Lagavulin 8 yet?" Have not yet. I'm trying to. I say I'm trying to cut down on my spending, but I'm also trying to buy all the bottles I need to make my best whiskeys of the year, which is going to be a live stream I do at the end of the year. So have not have not picked that one up yet, but have picked up a couple of fun ones for that countdown. So Adam says I need to send you a sample of the new Jack Daniel's twice barreled. Oh, I have not got it. I am not on the Jack Daniel's PR list. I wish I was because I do give them high praise. But Adam, I would love you forever. I am very, very intrigued by that. How is it? Well, if you want to spoil it, spoil it. But I'm curious how it is. You can also tell me on the Hangout. The Westward Pinot cask was great for me. My experience is limited as well. Yeah. I think it's something that I really want to explore a bit more. It's not something I have a great opinion on yet, but I'm excited to see where, like I said, the next tasting takes me. But for now, for the rest of this stream, let's get back into familiar territory here. Y'all know my favorite whiskey, and it's, or not my favorite whiskey, my favorite category of whiskey, and that's what's coming up next. Check out the upcoming bourbon.
Next, we will explore bourbon, a style so culturally significant that Congress legally declared it a distinctive product of the United States. As with most whiskeys, bourbon draws its ingredients from the grains available in the area. For bourbon, that means corn, abundant in the American South and Midwest, our first departure from malt whiskeys. Honoring the tradition of using local grains, the bourbon we've chosen to feature is produced ground to glass on a working farm, recalling the way pioneering distillers may have first made bourbon well before it was a worldwide whiskey sensation.
All right, so we are diving into a bourbon that I just recently started to find, first of all, and enjoy. Mostly thanks to our friend Brandon here. He's a big fan of Frey Ranch Distillery. He's let me try several single barrels that he's gotten. I think Aaron, who was also in the chat, also gave me a sample of that. But yeah, Frey Ranch. So they are based out of Nevada, believe it or not. Do you say Nevada or Nevada? I think I used to call it Nevada, but I think I say Nevada now. I'm not from there, so I have no opinion on the matter. But yeah, so this is their own 4-grain bourbon whiskey. They're all grown on site. It's corn, rye, wheat, and malted barley. It's all on the family farm in the Sierra Nevada mountains. It is then double distilled in pot and column stills before being matured for 5 years on site, where temperatures can range from freezing to well over 100 degrees. If y'all know Vegas weather, yeah. So I think I can definitely see the temperature variation there. I've been there when it's cold. I've been there when it's blistering. I've been there during freaking dust storms. Vegas is something else. So they're not based in Vegas, but they are in Nevada. Oh, yeah, no, I'd love to try it. I mean, it's also like, pretty available, but yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. I always love when I can try something from you guys, like a sample, and vice versa. I love when I can send you guys things to try. That way you're not committing to a whole bottle if you're not going to fall in love with it. But yeah, Frey, they are near Reno. Wish we could get the single barrel rye. Yeah, I have not seen the single barrel rye. I know they sell it on their website, I think, but like I've never seen it in person. This is just the regular bourbon, not the single barrel. This one comes in at 90 proof. I think the single barrels are all at cast strength, if I remember correctly. But yeah, this is a 5-year, 90 proof bourbon whiskey that is not distilled in Kentucky. That's the fact they should have mentioned it during that video. A lot of people think bourbon has to be just Kentucky. Oh no, Nevada can make bourbon. As long as it's in America, it's got to be distinctly American. But other than that, you can make bourbon anywhere in the country. Now the debate is, people are like, but can you make it in like Puerto Rico? Because technically it's part of the country. I mean, it's like a what do you call it? A or not district. Whatever. It's that's debatable. I've heard different theories on whether you consider like Puerto Rican whiskey a bourbon. Don't want to get into that debate tonight. Never had Puerto Rican whiskey. Need to hit up our Puerto Rican friend Adriana Whiskey Mountains. Maybe she has some connects there. Just like, I like how I'm just assuming, oh, she just knows, she's Puerto Rican, she knows everyone there. No, but maybe she. I mean, I feel like that's something that I would be passionate about if it's from where my family was from. Territory. Thank y'all, Donnie and Zofer. That's definitely a refreshing nose compared to the malt whiskey we've been drinking lately. I will say the one thing with Frey Ranch is like you gotta love the grains, because again, as with all of these, that's what's highlighted on the nose. It smells like you just like milled up some. Normally I would say corn, but this one I think you can tell it's a blend. You can tell it's not just like straight up corn. I've had ones that just taste like corn. They're a little much for me. This though, it's actually a really nice nose. It's like they're all working together in like a desserty kind of like caramel vanilla. I mean, bourbon, right? Like that's what you look for, right? But it's like a grain forward version of it. It does have a little bit of like a buttery note. It's like almost like a creamy, like yeah, it kind of just smells like a like when you put like a layer, like I don't know what I don't bake, but like if you like do a brush of like butter over something and then you like put it in the oven, it has like that glistening. It makes it glisten. It makes it like just so ooey gooey, delicious looking. This tastes like you just like just a little sprinkle of butter on your bourbon. don't knock it till you try it. I haven't tried it, but anyways, it's just kind of giving me some of those creamy, buttery notes. But I gotta give it a taste just to find out for sure. Cheers. Mm. Ooh, that's really good. I have quickly become a Frey Ranch fan. I don't know about y'all, but like for a craft distillery doing it all themselves, it has a unique taste. And I think every time I try a Frey Ranch bourbon, I get that same taste. It's like a spiky note in the middle, and I can't quite place it. It doesn't quite, it's not like a rye spice. It's like a, I don't want to use the word vegetal again, but vegetable, but not like in a mossy way. It's like a vegetal sharp, like, I don't want to say like, it's going to sound weird. It's like got a bit of like a asparagus note. And I was trying to avoid saying that. I was trying to find something else that was different. But it has that like green, I almost said Brussels sprout too. I'm like, there's like a greenness to it that it's uniquely Frey Ranch. I've gotten on every Frey Ranch I've ever had. I think I would look for that note if I was doing this in a blind flight. I think I would seek out that like spiky green vegetable that's right in the middle. Again, it's not overwhelming. It's very subtle. It's definitely something that I only notice I'm trying to pick out what makes this different. When I'm just sipping it, at home, I don't typically always get it. But it does have a little bit of a green note right in the middle of it. That being said, though, I'm a fan. I like everything that Frey Ranch is doing. I'd love to do a flight for them on the channel. I haven't reached out to anyone from the brand, but I would like to really dive into Frey Ranch. They're doing some really awesome stuff, and this is no exception. This is such a fun, it's a fun bourbon for them to include. I commend them. I mean, you have all the bourbons in the country, right? And you choose this one, a craft distillery out of Nevada, to put in your tasting set. I think that's so fun, so interesting. Yeah, it still has a lot of those classic bourbon notes, and it's going to give you a good taste of what a bourbon is. But Frey Ranch just has such a unique mid, like greens. I don't know. I'm just using different terms like green, spiky, vegetal, but it has a unique note that I always enjoy every time I have it. So it's different, and I like it. Yeah. um, I was seeing. Oh, because y'all are saying things at the same time. I was curious, but she knows her family that is there. I don't know what that's in reference to, but cool. They have an odd process where they call them still first and then pot still to proof. Interesting. Like grassy chlorophyll. That's um I wouldn't say grassy. So when I say grassy, typically I think of like fresh cut grass. That's not what I'm getting on this one. I don't know. I keep going back to asparagus, but maybe it's more like the stalk. Like I'm thinking like even like a broccoli, like the stem of the broccoli, uncooked. I'm not talking about cooked. I'm talking about like raw, like broccoli. It has a little bit of like the stem. There's like the don't know how to describe it. It's such a unique note that I'm hoping these words are helping put it into place. But it's only like 10% of this whiskey. 90% of it is the typical vanilla caramel. It doesn't necessarily taste super oaky. It's 5 years old, which isn't to be expected. But yeah, I'm a fan. I like Frey Ranch. By the way, just not last minute reminder, but we are doing the Wheel of Whiskey giveaway in about 10 minutes. So if you want to get your entry in, we have a few entries so far. However, there is still plenty of chance to win. So every $5 you super chat, you are entered to win your own tasting set valued at $100 MSRP. Again, thank you to the folks at Bevridge who provided this. For as little as $5, you could win a $100 tasting set, which is so fun. Makes a great Christmas gift, and also makes for a fun just tasting experience, whether you're doing it alone or you're watching the companion pieces on their YouTube channel or their website, or you're watching the stream. Northwest Bourbon's in the house. Cheers to you. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in again. I feel like I always catch you like right at the end. I'm going over results, but thankfully we're not doing a flight tonight. And we're not doing a blind flight. So no results to give, but we're just enjoying some really great world whiskeys. With that, we got one more whiskey to try tonight. We are going to try another one of my favorite whiskeys, Rye Whiskey. This one's a fun one, though. I've had this whiskey before. Have not done a full stream of them on the channel, but I would also like to explore them a bit more. Check out the Rye Whiskey we're about to try, WhistlePig Rye Whiskey.
Finally, we will explore rye, North America's other whiskey gift to the world. While bourbon generally takes center stage these days, Rye whiskey was actually America's original native spirit, as rye was the more abundant crop in the areas of North America first settled. Rye is bourbon's spicy, robust cousin, and we've chosen to introduce the category with a bottling distilled from 100% rye, with no secondary grains in the mash bill. This will show the exciting, bold profile that makes rye a staple whiskey on any enthusiast shelf, whether it to be consumed neat or mixed in cocktails.
All right, so I like how it said like rye is bourbon's spicier cousin. So we have the number 5 here, which is the Rye Whiskey. There's a reason I didn't show these up. Oh, there we go. Rye Whiskey, product of Canada. So it is a Canadian rye whiskey, 48.28% ABV. Some info there about the bottling. By the way, these are bottled by Alamo Distilling Company out of San Antonio, Texas. Didn't realize that. By the way, this beverage tasting set is brought to you by Whiskey Live. They put on a lot of different whiskey tasting events throughout the country. They are, I guess, the brand behind this idea for this tasting set. But I can't believe I didn't say that earlier. But yeah, they're the ones behind it. Swan says, I love some rye. Wish they would have done Woodinville rye. That would be a good choice. That's interesting because I feel like everything else has been kind of crafty so far. It's interesting they went with WhistlePig for the rye. I agree. I do think it would be nicer if, although it's interesting because it's like, in my own mind, I differentiate Canadian rye and American rye. I think they're not so different because there are some similarities, but I feel like with American rye, I look for those big, spicy, bold notes, whereas Canadian rye is typically a little more mellow, a little more chill. I'll see how this one is, though, because I know WhistlePig kind of does a bit of both styles. But I'm really excited to see this one. So this one is a 100% rye whiskey. Some rye whiskeys, of course, are as little as 51% rye. But they use 100% rye mash bill, and it's aged for 6 years, coming in at 96.56 proof. They really highlight the cocktail thing. They actually have a whole series on their website on how to make cocktails with this whiskey. But I can relate to being the spicier cousin. Oh, I can see that. No shame to your cousin, who I don't know, but yeah, you go, Kathy Joe. Independent Joe's in the house lurking, but I got 5 on it. Smash that like button. Cheers, all. Oh, Joe, so good to see you. I feel like we haven't chatted in a minute. If y'all not checking out Independent Joe's channel, he's not only an amazing YouTuber doing his own stuff, but he's also, modding on all these channels. He's being a guest on all these channels. Y'all, Joe is just like one of the nicest people in the WhiskeyTube community. Y'all go subscribe to his channel, hit thumbs up on all his videos, and man, he's doing some great work. I really wish I could catch up with him more often because we're both California guys out here. But thank you so much for your super chat. So I've said they're definitely different for me as well. Yeah, the Canadian versus typical American rye. But we'll see. Let's see. Like 6-year-old, 100% rye whiskey. Now it does say product of Canada, so it's most likely Canadian rye here, which is understandable. A lot of Canadian whiskey is a rye whiskey. Makes sense to use that for the category. Ooh, yeah. Interesting though, because it's like it has that like smooth vanilla flavor or nose of like a Canadian whiskey. However, it also has a unique, I don't want to say American style, but a spicy, minty bomb that I love in a rye whiskey. Man, what a great nose! I mean, WhistlePig, I've had some really good expressions from them, but this is no exception. So I will wait to cheers you after we highlight a massive, amazing super chat from our friend Alexander coming in. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I feel like I've only seen that color on my channel like once. Thank you so much for the video super chat. You got 10 entries to the Wheel of Whiskey. You might be winning some whiskey tonight. But even if not, thank you so much. He says, I poured a dram of Lagavulin and 12 cask strength just to spite you. Happy holidays all. Thank you for all that you do. Well, thank you for all that you have just done. No, I seriously appreciate every super chat, but man, thank you. You're so generous. Good luck to you on the giveaway. If not, let's touch base soon. Yeah, you are spiting me a little bit with that Lagavulin 12 cask strength, though. Sounds amazing. Ugh. But cheers to you, my friend. Now, cheers. This one goes out to Alexander. Cheers, man. Yeah, it's weird because this is like a balance. It's definitely not on the palate anything like an American rye. I'll make that clear. It's not. I said it smelled minty. It doesn't taste minty. It's more of like the rye grain, These are all grain forward. If you like grain forward whiskey, this is a sample set for you. It's like rye bread, but with like a little bit of vanilla ice cream on top. Not that you would eat ice cream on top of your bread. Okay, let's rephrase that. Bread pudding, but made with rye bread, then with ice cream on top. Does that sound better? I think that sounds a little bit better. But yeah, it has those really bright vanilla notes, but it's combined with that spicy rye grain. Ooh, second sip. I'm appreciating it a bit more now that I know what I'm expecting. Rye whiskey is such an interesting category. Sometimes it's super spicy and sharp. Sometimes it's mellow, like some Canadian whiskeys. This one's right in the middle. It's I see why they're promoting it in a cocktail because I can see a fantastic Sazerac cocktail with this, which is one of my favorite rye whiskey cocktails. It's made with a bit of herb saint liqueur or absinthe. Rinse your glass with that. Put in some Pichoid bitters, again pronunciation Pichodes bitters. Some simple syrup. Man, it's such a fantastic, refreshing, bright rye cocktail. I think that's what I'm gonna save the rest of the sample for. I think I want to make a Sazerac out of this because it's so good. Not my typical rye style that I drink neat personally. I think I look for a little bit more of the spice, a lot more of the 95.5 American style rye. But this is still a solid. If it's your first rye whiskey or your first good rye whiskey, or that sounded weird. Your first. Well, it's weird because, like I was saying earlier, like oh, well, bourbon they could have done Jim Beam. They could have done like Johnny Walker. With rye, like what's the basic rye whiskey? J.P. Weiser's rye, maybe. This is definitely a step above that. Hmm. Yeah, man, that's a cocktail rye if I've ever seen one. It's just so balanced. It's like balancing the sweet, the minty. Love that. Really, really good stuff. All right, we are calling the giveaway in about 2 minutes. So last chance if you want to win your very own beverage tasting set. Like I said, it's a new one. I didn't take this off of your sample set. You get all 5 sample bottles right here. Description of each. I know I'm holding that wrong. It's a really wide box, y'all. I don't have widescreen here. You get all 5 of the samples. You get a little description of each, and it's really nice collector's box. Adam is in for one. He says, hopefully I don't blow my whiskey luck tonight. It's BTAC season in Memphis. Well, you know what? Best of luck to you. Not this is. I wish this was a sample set of BTAC. That'd be awesome. But yeah, hey, $10 versus what some people pay for some of those bottles. Hey, if you win tonight, you got a really good deal here. So best of luck to you. But thank you so much for your super chat. All right. So I'm curious, what sounds like your favorite of this tasting set? For me, got to look at the list again. Let's see. By the way, I want to show you real quick what their website looks like once you. I want to take that banner off just so people don't get confused. Let me share my screen real quick. I want y'all to see like what their like tasting experience is like. Like I said, you can follow along when you're doing it. Let's see. Share screen. There we go. Let me show y'all a little bit of this. So like here you can see like this is like the world whiskey. This is the one we're drinking tonight. You got some info here. This is the video we showed earlier, but there's a whole lot more. Look at this. All these videos, journeying into the different distilleries, tastings, cocktail class. I mean, and there's so much more even on their YouTube channel. It really gives you all the info you need to have a wonderful tasting night with these. So definitely check out their website. Even if you don't get the whiskeys, maybe you have the bottle at home. Check out the website, and you might learn quite a bit of information. They also have a YouTube channel, which I've linked to down below. But sounds like we are about to do the Wheel of Whiskey. I'll double check to make sure there's no last minute entries coming in. But I think my favorite tonight of the whiskeys we tried would have to be. I was really intrigued by that Irish whiskey, the Limavady. That was so unlike anything I've ever had. I think it's unique. I think it's so much different than your typical Irish whiskey, right? I think that one was my favorite. But I'm curious if y'all watched all of them. What was your favorite? Because I'm partial to that one. Do love Frey Ranch. I always love Frey Ranch, but I feel like there was something special about that one. I'm getting everyone's entry here on the Wheel of Whiskey because I don't want to leave anyone out. Thank you all, of course, for your super chats. This is my way of giving back to you. For those of you that support me, I always want to do my best to to support you. I just said that, but do my best to give back to the community because I feel like I am so fortunate that I'm given a chance to try these things on streams. I always like to ask for you guys to get a chance to as well. All right, I'm entering in Alex's now. Let's see how many we get. Gosh, that's so many entries. You have the best odds tonight, but we'll see. We'll see. Someone else might get real lucky. Let's copy and paste it right here to make sure we got all the entries. One, two. Yep, we are all good there. So let's get this wheel randomized a bit. Y'all ready for one of my favorite parts of the night? Wheel of Whiskey. So before y'all do that, if y'all do not happen to win tonight, don't worry. There is a promo code that I set up for the first 50 people who check out at Bevridge.co, either the tasting set, whether it's this one or the American Single Malt, which we'll be visiting in a couple weeks. The first 50 people that buy a kit there get 10% off using promo code Bourbon Bites, which is scrolling right there. Yeah, you get 10% off. I think that helps cover a lot of the cost of shipping. It just makes it a lot easier to get to you. So if you don't win tonight, you know what? You can still be a winner by using the promo code. I appreciate it because it lets them know that, like, hey, people actually got something from the stream, you know? So I appreciate you, those of you that have entered the giveaway, but also I'm curious to hear what you guys think for, I don't know where I was going with that. I was reading Brandon's comment as I was going. He said, the bourbon's hard to justify $50 for a bottle of the bourbon, but the single barrel cash from the picks are a no-brainer. He's talking about the Frey Ranch. Yeah, I was agreeing with that, but I was also like getting lost in my train of thought. Oh, thank you, Joe, for dropping the link to the podcast. Yeah, I would love to pick that up sometime soon. For now, I had a new job, so I had to tone down the content. But thank you so much for dropping that, Joe. Alexander said, I love the 80s synth vaporwave backgrounds. Best music? Yes. Yeah, no, I'm a huge, huge fan of that. So I'm glad someone appreciates that. Zopher knows what's up. It's time for the Wheel of Whiskey. So let me share my other screen. Here we go. All right. So everyone's names who have entered the giveaway are on the Wheel of Whiskey. Y'all ready to spin it? Let's see who wins a Beverage World Whiskies sample tasting sit. Now, disclaimer, only shipped to the U.S., but we can figure something out if otherwise. But for now, let's go ahead and spin the Wheel of Whiskey. Zopher 1920. Well, you are going to get a hand-delivered bottle. We don't got to worry about shipping at all because I will bring this down to you next weekend. Congratulations, man. I'm so excited for you. You actually, it's funny because your last thing that you won from me was a tasting set of Scotch whiskey. Hopefully you got, by the way. I left that at Chris's house. Not Chris, Aussie Chris. Chris, San Diego Chris. So if you haven't gotten that, hit him up. But, yeah, I am so excited for you. Congratulations on winning this. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts. But everyone, like I said, if you did not win the giveaway tonight, there'll be another one not next week, not going live on Thanksgiving, but there'll be another one on December 1st, I believe, whatever the first Thursday in December is, where we're going to be doing the American Single Malt. So make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, hit the notification bell, and turn on all notifications so you don't miss that one. That one's retails at $150. Like I said, it's going to be a two-part stream. Part one is going to be tasting the first 5, and part 2 is going to be the final 5 and the giveaway. However, any super chats that come in during the first stream of the American Single Malts in December are entered into the giveaway. So want to make that clear now. I'll re-explain once we get into that. But most importantly, I hope y'all have a fantastic Thanksgiving holiday, whether you're spending it with family, friends, or with your favorite whiskey tubers or internet friends, or if you're just having a freaking dram alone on Thanksgiving. You do you. Enjoy your time. Think back to all the amazing friends and whiskey. And I always get super, like, not emotional during Thanksgiving, but it's more like I'm so thankful for this community. I just, like, if I had to think of anyone I'm thankful for the most in the past couple of years, it's for this whiskey tube community. You guys in the chat, the other channels here, y'all have been so generous with spending your time, your money with the super chats, but also, like, sending samples. And I just love this community so much. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that has been made this year so special. So thank y'all. I'm going to close out with this short video outro from Bevridge, but thank you again to the brand for sending these samples. Congratulations, Zophar, for winning. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks for the American Single Malt Part 1. I'm really excited to see what I get to try with that one. Cheers, y'all. Have a great rest of your week and next week. Talk to y'all soon. Bye. See y'all on the hangout, after party hangout, happening right after this. Patrons $10 and up. Y'all know who you are. See y'all on the after party. Cheers, all.
If you've already purchased your World Whiskies tasting experience, go ahead and get ready so you can sip alongside us. If you haven't, there's still plenty to enjoy, but you'll want to taste along for the full experience. Once you're ready, I'll meet you at our first stop, Scotland. Welcome to the Bevridge World Whiskies experience.